familiar with survivorship bias? This is my favorite bias.
Go for it.
So I like to bring things like a story full circle. You familiar with the song "I Will Survive"?
Mm-hmm.
First I was afraid. I don't sing. So
First I was afraid.
there we go.
Yeah.
So that song explains survivorship bias perfectly, and it's cliche that it is called that, but I'll get to my point.
Uh-huh.
So the guy who wrote it, Dino Fakaris, he was a writer for Motown. Might be for some of y'all time. So he wrote for Motown Records from the late 60s, early 70s, got laid off in, I think, 1976. Yeah. So what happened, he was like, I got to get another job writing songs. That's my passion. I love it. And he had some hits. He definitely penned some hits for Motown for different artists, but he wasn't finding new work. So one night he was watching a movie. I forget the name of the movie, but he wrote the theme song. So the movie came on. He heard the theme song. He's like, you know what? This is a sign. I'm not giving up. And he said, I will survive. And he started writing there, and that song came out of it. Damn. But guess what? It didn't take off. That's 1976. That song got dropped in 1978. So what happened for those 2 years? So for 2 years, he couldn't find a label to help put it out and produce it. So a label came up and said, we have an artist, Gloria Gaynor, who had decent success in disco at the time. And he said, I want to write a song called Substitute. So he's like, sure, but on one condition, that I get the song I Will Survive as the B-side to the track. So it's like, sure. So Gloria Gaynor had just hurt her back pretty badly on tour, and her mom was overcoming a sickness. So when she read the lyrics, she said it brought such conviction to her because she could relate, not just because the theme is overcoming a bad breakup or something, but she was surviving life. Yeah. So they said they did it in one take. One take, Jay. They got it. Whew. And you got that song. Yeah. It won the Grammy for disco, best disco, which is the one and only disco Grammy because disco was obviously on its way out in the late 70s. Yeah. So the moral of the story would be what? Keep working hard. Don't give up on your passions, and you will survive and be great, right? Wrong. That's the bias. Because let's think about it. How many times do people do their best, push their best foot forward, try the hardest, put in full effort, and still don't make it? So that's the bias. So perfect example. You ever seen a house or a car from like 50, 60, 80 years ago, whatever, a long time ago? Yeah. And you're like, they just don't make them like they used to no more. this shoddy craftsmanship, people just, this plastic houses, whatever, right? That's a survivorship bias. You know why? How many houses from 1902 are still standing? You might have one or two that are landmarks, right? But the bias is your mind's assuming that the thing that lasted longest is the ideal one. Yeah. Look at the ruins in Greece, Rome, Egypt.
This generation is so weak.
Exactly. But let's guess what? Every generation had that friend. Like you know how people say, they ain't real music. Follow me with this. Follow me with this. Yeah. So this can go back forever. So you can be like,
but that's
Elvis.
True.
No, listen to me.
I'm the worst offender.
I'm gonna kill that for you right now. Yes, so think about it. What you consider real music, right? Like 90s hip hop, right?
Yes, sir.
Before that, the soul generation, like our parents, the Temptations, that was real music. But for their parents, it was like Billie Holiday. That's real music. Then go back far enough, it's Johann Bach. Like, that's Bach. That's some real music, man. That Beethoven, that's some real music. And it could go exactly. And it could go all the way back to caveman days. Like, that's real music. But that's a bias because you only see what lasts.
He broke something again.
So the takeaway from all that, all of that, was don't always believe. It's not saying don't believe the survivors, the winners, because they do have a story and they do help us. But I argue you will learn more from the ones who didn't win because, hey, you lost everything in the stock crash. Can you inform me what you did? And you know not to do that because everyone who won, go to Jordan. Hey, man, how did you become the best basketball player of all time? I know, debatable, but I just did it, man. I'm 6'6" and I can dunk from the free throw. Just do that. Okay. What do I do next? Yeah. But ask a guy who got cut from the NBA and he was the same skill set as Jordan, or not skill set, but similar. What happened? Well, I wasn't going to practice. My agent told me to sign earlier. Because let's talk about the draft just happened in the NFL, and there's people who don't take the deals. And guess what? NFL says for not for long. So the bias is, don't always go for the winners because Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, my students used to do this all the time at the community college I worked at. They're like, well, Gates and Zuckerberg dropped out. Oh, really? Where'd they drop out from? Harvard. No offense, we're at Broward College. I respect the school because I worked there for 6 years, but it ain't Harvard. And mind you, they were going to be that regardless because their mindset, because I asked my students, I'm like, do you even have the mindset to even be those guys? Probably not, because you're telling me, well, I didn't finish my work because I had to work at 12 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, oh, so I have no life outside of this, huh? And some of them knew what I did outside of it. So it's like, I spend 3 to 4 hours with y'all, but I'm an entrepreneur. I'm working with clients. I'm doing business plans. Sometimes I fly out. Boo-hoo. And I was like, at that time, I'm 35, about to be 35 now, but I was like 26. So I'm like, some of them were older than me. So it was hilarious having someone that was like 32 and I'm 26 giving me excuses. Hey man, you got to understand it's hard. And I had a daughter. So it was like, really? So so survivorship bias is don't succumb to the people or the things that survive because it doesn't tell the full story.